And welcome guys to another awesome little tutorial. Now this may look a little different. It's because I'm actually running post processors right now. It's the same game, but and everything. I've made some changes to our kit and everything else, and I kind of wanted to share them with you because some of them give you a significant boost. I mean, don't get me wrong, post processor is still pretty heavy, but the thing is, hey, I'm recording as well, and I'm not exactly on the biggest computer either, so yeah. But in any case, it still goes above 60 frames, and that should be good for all of us. And it looks pretty decent. So, what changes have I made? Changes. Well, the changes to us is I have made a ammo display script and a health display script. But the thing about the scripts in themselves is they have significant changes done to them due to how I started referencing things and other stuff like that. Now, it's kind of a general thing and everything else, but for the most part, now we have a script that controls certain things, and this script is done very, very like a certain way, and it deals with inheritance, but it's very, very simple to do. So I wanted to share what I did with the player first. See, on our temp player, we've got the Soldier 2 script, okay? And there was a lot of problems with, well, not really problems, but I didn't like how we've had stuff that we needed for integration. See, we need a health script and damage and everything else, but the problem is I need to be able to access certain things a certain way. So, for the most part, let's dive into the code and you'll be able to see what I mean. So, the first part of the section right here in the changes is, you notice I am inheriting from player values now. Well, player values is a very different class, okay? And now we got health display dot update, and we pass it our health. Very simple. Now we have weapon component dot weapon camera, and we set references with that. Slot equals this, and we've got quite a few little tedious things done that's not so bad now. Now this, for the most part, is all the changes done to this class. The biggest change done to this class, and let me is we did I did add a health variable right here just to be able to display health and things like that. It's just temporary here so that I could get the health display working. We're probably going to have a separate script on the game object itself that's instantiated for this. Okay, with the character controller and all that doing what it needs to do. Now you're probably wondering why I changed this weapon transform here and then weapon component dot weapon camera main camera. And the question, and it would be a very good question, is the weapon component is part of our displays, and you'll see why in a minute. I'm just pretty sure that this is all the changes. Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's all the changes. Oh, and I did change and put an enum in some of this. Okay? If you want, this gets called every frame. Well, when we're is grounded equals false, I don't want to be able to do the running stuff, the sneaking stuff, things like that. It's kind of silly to be able to do stuff like that. So I've got an enum that's going to be able to tell our weapon system that it's running. But you're like, current player dot this. Well, where's current player? Is it up a little bit? And it would be a very good question. So here's another thing that I did in the player. If we're grounded and the get lock equals true, which it always does because it's not coded in yet, technically. Well, this cycles like one goes to the end, 2 goes to the end, things like that. So what I did was, for the first part, if we're jumping, but in this cycle right here, in this if statement, right here, this is the fall part. This part doesn't end till we get to this else statement down here. Okay? So we're already grounded for this to execute. Okay? So if we're grounded and our state still says jumping, it says landed. Well, then there's an else if. So if we're landed, we're going straight to walking. Okay? And that's what I want it to be at. Okay? So for a millisecond, or maybe 1 second, it's going to go landed. Well, we can also do checks, like for our velocity. If our velocity was greater than whatever, then it could hurt us. Just like we did up here. Which actually probably should be technically in this bracket now. Which I'm going to actually put it in this bracket, because it makes more sense for it to be here now. So the fall damage, I want this always to do the landed, yes, that's why it's there. But I want the fall damage to be executing at this bracket. Because we're going to go from jumping to land anyway. And even if for any case you think that, oh, this will never execute, yeah, well, it will, because A is grounded, will be executing that in that way. So when we're flying in air, if current state does not equal jumping, we set it to jump anyway. I mean, it's going to go that way. It does not matter whatsoever. And then we're also measuring for fall. If our fall damage is greater than 100, we're just going to automatically call death. Which, that's what I would want anyway, but you know, we don't get what we want all the time, right? And that's pretty much about it for this. Well, this is old code. This is old code. We delete it, and that's pretty much it for this class right here. Heal is not integrated yet. And we're actually, I'm going to leave that in there because that will give us a very good thing. So what's the deal here? Okay, what's the deal here with this player values? Well, player values is going to shove in these static protected properties. So these are protected. Anything that inherits, so soldier 2 inherits from player 2. So it has access to these statics. Okay? They're protected statics. If you only put static like this, even though you inherit from it, it's owned by this class, and that variable is not accessible for us now. Okay, it's going to pop up, give us problems and everything else because it's not accessible. That property is not accessible because of that. So let's save after I've taken that off. Actually, it'll probably show me down here. See these red squigglies? It's telling us that the property is not accessible and it does not exist in this context. Okay? So it doesn't work that way. So we got to have it protected. Now we could make this public, but it's like I said, I don't want other classes that's not supposed to be doing this kind of manipulation to have access to this. I don't want this publicly accessible unless it's a class that inherits from it and it's supposed to be working with it. Like our player class. Our soldier here. Our soldier owns the inputs that's supposed to be controlling that. So that's why we need player values to be protected. And you could go, well, you can make this in a different class and yada yada. No. The reason why I want it this way is A, it's static. So if player 2 if player 2, soldier 2 right here is manipulating the this part right here, so it does say player walk, player run, player jump and stuff, which this is an enum, by the way. If you're not familiar, it's an enum. Walk, running, sneaking, jumping, landed, dead. Okay? It's just enum. Well, if something else is trying to manipulate this, then that would be bad. You have to be careful with that, because static means it's like a single variable. It's globally done. It can never be duplicated. There can only be one. Okay, just like the slots right here, this is a reference. And then another health display is a reference. And then firing. And the reason why I did a firing bool in this, both, is because if I am running, I'm not allowed to fire. Okay? But if I'm walking and sneaking and stuff like that, I'm able to fire. So I'll put the bool in my player class to be, let's say, when I go running, somewhere in here I'm going to have where if I'm running, I will be able to fire. It's kind of a little bool check to make sure that we can, you know, run around, do stuff, things like that. Slots is just a reference, so we can go up here in the start menu and go slots equals this, so that we can pass in stuff around without some silly stuff. Because here's the greatest part about this. Since slots right here is a protected property, if I can find the button that I instantiate and stuff, and here is one of the changes right here. Actually, I think we've got enough in this video, and we're going to discuss it a lot more. Player base is just an empty class, I believe. No, I'm going to be doing something with it in a later video, because I'm going to fill this variable in from a selection screen, which we haven't got to that, but we will. And I want it to be public, because I want people to be able to get it. But with this kind of setup, we have easy access. Actually, weapon component, here's a good way of doing this. Okay, here's a prime example. Weapon component dot weapon camera dot main. You know that weapon component is part of our weapon, all of our weapons. It inherits from weapons. Okay, so now we have weapon component. It's a mono behavior, but now we got references like this. This one is public static, because I want to be able to basically access it and set it anywhere. I don't care that they're manipulating it whatsoever. But you also notice that there's ammo cases, then an ammo UI. Okay, they're all static, and the great thing about this is once I set this right here, when we go to our, where's my bullets? When we go to our other classes, weapon component, we have cool things like this. No more finding objects and stuff like that. We go up there and do weapon camera dot camera trans equals. Where's this coming from? Oh. Why am I doing it there? Where is this variable being used? Find all references. Camera trans. Direction, and this. Interesting. Let's close that. But we're no longer doing this camera.main lookup right here. Or where is it? I know we were doing a camera lookup. Did I? Yes, I probably did. Rats. I deleted it. Shouldn't have done that. But here's the good thing about it, and this is going to be really cool for you guys, and you guys are going to love this, is because we did it this way, on our GUI layer thing, look, ammo in case, we're doing a dictionary lookup. Look how clean and easy that is to read. Okay? And this is for loading up ammunition. Okay? Well, we go into this, and as long as a single variable of a single script that has weapon component on it exists in game, which it always will, then we will always have access to that dictionary. okay, and then we boom. See, it makes it very easy to do clip sizes and everything else, because we're going to just go through it and go. GUI. Now look at this ammo. Okay, we used to have the static reference stats.instance.set ammo, and then it took a class, and then the setup thingy here. Now we got a single line ammo UI, which is our static reference thing right here, okay, that we inherit from the beginning. Dot update ammo, which passes in. Oh, I can't show you that yet because you don't understand. You won't get it yet. But these are two integers that just get passed, and this goes up to a display. Okay, so that's the cool thing about the inherent object thing that we're going to have going on, which will be more shown in the next video. This one is kind of more, I believe, on how the player right here is set up. In the next video, we're going to hit the slots changes, okay, and then we're going to go to the health and other stuff in there. So, well, we're going to I wanted to introduce the idea first. That way you get the idea of how it's going to work in our next series video when we do slots. Because when we do slots for our buttons and stuff, it's going to be a freak ton of a lot easier to work with. Okay, when we do our health display, it's going to be a lot easier to work with as well. As in our ammo display, don't even worry about that one because it's going to be super easy. But thanks guys for watching. I'm going to drop this video on YouTube because I've kind of been lacking in that department, but I'm pretty sure you guys are going to love this video and be like, yeah, this was worth the wait. And we will be discussing, like I said, the slots, which deals with the inventory thing. But you could take the concept that I used in it and go with another type of drive class of something that you want to do. But thanks for watching. Peace out, everybody, and take care, and you know, all that good stuff. Drop a like, hit subscribe, and be happy with everybody. But this is War over and out.